So anyways, a brief summary of what happened back in Stint 1. Isa Bay dominated from the word go in prototypes, and Ducky dominated initially in the GT category. However, in the GT category, things started changing around the first round pit stops. Ducky went for a massive overcut that just did not work out, and Ducky fell from first to third after the first round pit stops were done. One of the big things that let that happen was Larry, after making their stop, made a big outside line overtake going through turn 1 in the middle of those first round of stops. So it ended up being in the GT category, Larry B, the G, and LMP Flo going back and forth, fighting for the lead. Not against each other on track, but when it came to overall pit stop strategy, as the two took two wildly different strategy ideas going through that. In the prototype category, though, Isa Bay continued to dominate. However, Nizrama had a incident in the first 2 laps going through turn 1 after getting hit, and then while he was on an alternate strategy, also spun out while they were in the top 5. Still spent a lot of time fighting with the likes of Andrew and CBL. The Porsches were just overall not competitive at all in either category, but especially not in the prototype category. In the end, a little bit of contact between CBL's Porsche and Andrew's Nissan saw Andrew hit the inside wall. However, he would be able to continue without any damage. Eventually, Nizrama caught CBL a bit, and as they ran down the clock, a big dramatic event happened in the prototype category as Isa Bay, who dominated, ran out of fuel right before making their last stop and dropped from first to fourth in the overall end results. Nizrama, on the other hand, never made their final stop. So while they were third across the line, there's likely a big distance penalty that will be coming their way at the end of that. Then in the end, that meant that NWR Origin, who started 7th but raced his way up to 2nd in the first 25 minutes, was in position to take the Stint 1 victory in the prototype category, while LMP Flo's alternate strategy gave him the win in the GT category. And now we are about to try for the 5th time to get our Stint 2 underway here for the C lobby. Big Sungjon, Big Sungjon, Big Sungjon. So Sungjon will be starting on the pole with Freelancer 9801 in second. Third place will be Steel 5688, followed up by the Porsche of CBL Muff. Game, let me change camera. All right, so our pole sitter, Sungjon in the number 69 Jaguar, followed by Freelancer 9801, the number 24 Jag, followed by Steel 5688 in the number 21 Jaguar. Then our first Porsche, CBL Muff 665 in the number 98 machine. Then will be the number 56 of FTC Racing's Hyconian. Followed behind them will be NWR Origin in the 157 modal, just came off of winning the last stint. Then will be Apex Why Not in the number 45, followed by Nizrama in the number 13 Jag. Also, Sega, absolutely base, and AMS Custom Dips will round out the back of the grid. Then you will have the GT category. PTG Ducky will be the driver, will be starting in 10th, first of the GT categories, followed by I Am Mamba 5145 in the 31. Then it will be Zeroliak in the number 90 Porsche, then EMC Vision in the number 420 Chevrolet, Joe Nix in the number 99 BMW, LMP Veloce in the number 828 Chevrolet. Larry B is going to be 16th. Game! Stop doing this. Behind Larry, it will be Rottweilers and the number 83 Ferrari, and then rounding out the back of the field will be LMP Porsche and the number 827 machine. As we wait for the drivers to start moving to get underway for the start of the event here. Right, and we are moving here at Daytona, so the field will go green on the painted line that is just out of the first infield hairpin. In Stint 1, that number 69 got a big run. Is that going to be the case this time as well? As they come to the green flag, oh my goodness, it's even worse than last time. Freelancer let down the number 24, even worse than just Unku, and Seal is right there, and Freelance goes off! Immediately, Freelance goes off circuit and slips back to fourth. And CBO Muff in the Porsche moves up to third, the highest the Porsche has been all day long, and that might not be it! He's on the outside, trying to move up into the second position. Can't make it stick, at least not this time by. Steele holds on to second. CBL Muff falls back in line. But immediately, Freelance, who started second, immediately throws the time away and slips back to fourth. Not a great look at all for Freelance. Now Muff looks to the inside, but has to back out. Steele will hold a nice smooth line through the bus stop chicane here. Someone's way sideways farther back. And NWR Oregon will get by Hyponian. Meanwhile, PTG Ducky holds the lead in the GT category. Top 6 have broken away from 7th, 8th, and 9th in the prototypes. Shangjong, though, with a gigantic gap early on, Steele's already moved up to the second, and CBL Muff in third, the highest we've seen one of the Porsche prototypes end up thus far today. As Freelance now slides wide and lets NWR Oregon through, and might let Hyconian through as well. Seems like Freelance just cannot come to grips with this Porsche in the early stages of this run. Drama already moving up to 7th, a little bit farther back. And this time, hopefully, having avoided a big incident early on. Also, Hyconian not needing to make an early pit stop might be able to help them overall. Freelance trapped wide again and now slips all the way back to 6th. So from 2nd to 6th in only about a lap and a half of racing has not been good for that Swordfish number 24 machine. Meanwhile, in the GT category, same driver, same car that dominated early on Stint 1, PTG Ducky. However, what really derailed that first stint was going too far on the first set of fuel and tires and losing too much time. He may want to consider pitting earlier this time than what he did prior. It is I Am Mamba in second and Verorliak in the Porsche. He said to me before Stint 1, Stint 2 that he took a big swing on setup. He's going to hope that that big swing can really help him out here as he is currently running in third. Much better than where he was last stint, where he was dead last, even after the driver of heaven made more stops. Well, here comes Joe Nix in the number 99 Black and Rainbow BMW tucked up behind the Porsche. Oh, and Haikonien's already dropped out. We've only gone through about 2 laps, but Haikonen drops out. The Porsche, he didn't make it very far in the first stint, but can't even make it 5 minutes of racing in stint 2. Horrible, horrible run for Haikonen. And that means once again it is CBL who is going to be the only representative in the Porsche camp now. As he is trying, but can't keep NWR Orton behind. Could NWR Orton go for back-to-back stint wins here? That would be huge. Xiongjan has lost a lot of the gap that he had on Steele, so the fight for the lead in the prototypes might be alive. Last stint, we did not really have an on-track fight at all for prototype top positions. That may be changing. Steele, number 21, has got to run. This car finished second in the last stint. Would love to be leading in stint 2. Does look like Xiongjan has a better run in the straightaways, though. Maybe Rain has set up, which has ripped nearly all the downforce off to try and maximize straight line speed advantage. Steele seems to be significantly slower in the straights on the other hand. And NWR Origin has just about caught that number 21 machine. And Muff is right there as well. So the top 4 are all still relatively close to each other. Nizrama up to 5th. And already Orton made a big lunge to the inside of Steele. It was a bold move, but was never going to work out. And that's going to knock Orton back a bit. But I think that says more than enough that Orton, he was one of the faster drivers in Stint 1. Might be en route to go back-to-back on Stint wins here in that number 151 machine. LMP Porsche not having a great run there in the Nissan, but LMP Veloce, that car won Stint 1, and now with a different driver, they've already moved up into 11th position. So Rurliak not having a great run of it, it would appear, though. Had a better start, but just does not seem to have what it takes to really keep anything together here. As we continue to watch our 3rd place driver, NWR Origin. He made a lot of moves early on in Stint 1. Looks like he's going to be doing the same here in Stint 2. Tucked up behind Steele. Well, not really tucked up behind him, but he's close enough to get the draft off of Steele. Steele can get a very, very slight draft off of John, but not enough to definitively keep Origin behind. Origin tries to make a move, but slides wide in turn 1, still sliding wide. He can catch up to the car ahead, but it seems like making the move is a bit of a struggle for him at the moment. Gets right behind, taps the Jaguar ahead in the rear. CBL Muff continues to run back there in 4th. He's close enough to get a draft, but does not seem to have the strength in that Porsche to actually make moves. I think for the Porsches, if they can just bring home a podium result in this stint, it would be almost a win for them. Those Porsches just do not have any competitive advantage right at all. And Xiongjan has no speed in the infield whatsoever, so he loses so much time in the infield and bunches the entirety of the top 4 up. And then they all start spreading out once they get into the oval section, although this time Steele's close enough to Xiongjan. He's got a big run. Are we going to spread out here? Oh! And Xiongjan missed! Xiongjan missed! And then NWR Origin hits Steele off! And Steele goes from 2nd to 4th, might even be 5th as he falls behind. And then Rama moves up, and now Origin gets around Xiongjan on the outside! Things are going bad for Xiongjan, and NWR Origin takes the lead in the first 10 minutes. Now he's close enough, he could still maybe make a move back on Origin, and Muff goes up into 3rd. Drama's there. Xiongjan looks to the inside, but ends up braking so early that he ends up losing the position of Muff. Muff in the Porsche, now up into 2nd. And Origin now has clean track ahead. The top 5 all on top of each other. Can Origin start running away? Because if Origin starts running away, that's it. It's over. for this stint unless Origin makes a big mistake similar to what we saw Isa Bay make in the first stint. Nizrama already fighting with Shengzhan for third and fourth, and it looks like Shengzhan has gotten back by for third. So top 5 in prototypes all on top of each other here in the early going. Nizrama wide. Steele trying to get a run on him. Looks like Muff has lost a bit of toe from Origin. Origin is so much smoother. Or I don't even know if it's smooth. It might just be outright initial acceleration. But it looks like Origin is pulling away from Muff coming out of the infield section. And while the Porsche has the straight line speed to gradually run him down, it's more important to be better on the initial entrance onto a straight than it is to be faster at the end of the straight. Yeah, Muff has lost Origin. Origin is gone. And now Shengzhan goes to the outside of CBL Muff. He's going to bring Nizrama with him as Steele has kind of lost the plot, it seems. Shengzhan is wide. Shengzhan can't keep it on track. He slides off, slows back to fourth. And now Nizrama is going to get to the inside, and the Porsche's off. Oh my goodness, is the Porsche off? Sideways. He will recover to get back to fourth, and Nizrama up to second. So already a lot of chaos, a lot of action here in the early stints. And now Nizrama trying to run down NWR Origin. We saw these two briefly on top of each other in the last stint, but there, they were on radically different strategies, going for radically different results, and Origin outran Nizrama even when Origin was on older tires. I think Origin may have everyone's number, at least for right now. However, they're going to be coming up on GT traffic relatively shortly. In GT is PTG Ducky, who is leading early like he did prior. Fight for third is not over though. Shengzhan, Muff, and Steele all pretty much on top of each other, and Muff does seem to have a very slight straight line advantage. The longer the straight is, the better it gets. Thing is, that draft is so powerful, it can outrun any advantage in the straight line the Porsches might have. Steele coming around the outside of number 98. Can't keep it there. He slides a little bit wide, and CBL Muff closes in on Shengzhan in turn 1 as well. Oh, here comes Muff to the inside. Side by side, Jag on the extreme outside, can't really fight back. The Porsche accelerates out. Shengzhan drop tires in the dirt and will fall to fourth. Might even lose that to Steele on the run to the second infield hairpin now. And now they're navigating their way through traffic, and Shengzhan completely misses the plot and gives Steele the inside, but Steele's tapped up behind a Ferrari. He'll get out ahead though without too much issue. Steele slides ahead of Shengzhan. Meanwhile, Nizrama sees Origin ahead. Origin has to navigate through traffic, going through the bus stop chicane. Nizrama has a little bit more clear air, though. Is that going to be enough for Nizrama? It might be. The Jaguar had to take a wide line. Nizrama carries a lot more speed coming out, coming around the outside. Nizrama right behind Origin. Origin has the speed coming out of the corner, but it seems like Origin is just better in all corners of the circuit. Thing is, traffic! Oh my goodness, traffic! And they're all over each other. 3 wide, 2 of them for the lead in prototypes. Don't back out now on me, camera. Come on, not now. And Origin, no! And it's Origin! The man who was fighting for the race lead has suddenly dropped out! The man who won Stint 1 has suddenly dropped out! 2 prototypes out in the first 15 minutes of racing! And Nizrama now has a gigantic advantage over the rest of the field! now Nizrama has a gigantic advantage over the rest of the field and can try and redeem himself from the mess that was Stint 1. Seungjan runs in fourth. Third place is CBL Muff. Second place is Steel. This fight for second is not over yet. Porsche versus Jaguar, the only remaining Porsche prototype in this stint right now. Muff seems to be a little smoother. But can he catch that Jag in time? Steel makes a little bit of contact with the GT leader of Ducky. Muff doesn't make any such mistakes. Oh, but he's sideways. He's all sorts of sideways when he puts the power down. And that's, oh my goodness, and that is Ducky sideways and nearly went off circuit completely as the prototypes go through. Mind you, Mamba is not that far behind at the moment. This is a Nissan. We did not see the Nissans really fight very strongly in Stint 1, but it seems like the number 31 Nissan is having a bit of a better run here in Stint 2. We could see the Nissan be the one taking the fight to Ducky here in the early moments. That would be very interesting. Here comes Custom Dips and the Freelance's Jaguar as well. Freelance has slipped all the way back to 6th, but seems to have stemmed the bleeding there. But considering there's only one more prototype on track, that's not saying much. Mamba sees Ducky just a little bit ahead. Now they're in clean track as the prototype field has gotten through. For second. A little bit smoother for Muff this time. Same thing with Seungjan. Seungjan just does not have the infield speed. He's an absolute rocket in the oval sections, but he loses so much time in the infield. I think for Seungjan, just coming home fourth might be a win for him. As Nizrama, who was third across the line at the end of Stint 1 after a lot of instants, but will likely have a big penalty coming, now trying to outdrive the issues that happened earlier, made it 3 wide with NWR Origin, and we won't really know who came out on top in that fight because the cameras went dead as Origin lagged out early on, and now Nizrama has no one to really fight with here. Should be an easy walk-off here in Stint 2 for him. It seems like Muff is gradually losing touch with Steel at this stage of the event as well. Fight for 5th and 6th, though, is on between Freelancer and Custom Dips. Dips has the position, Freelancer wants it, but he seems to be struggling to really close in and make anything of it. Ooh, Lancer, all sorts of sideways, all sorts of crossed up, crossed over. The handling that Jaguar just seems to be outright evil. Larry has filtered himself into 3rd place in this event, and Lancer's around! Lancer has spun coming out of the first infield hairpin. That'll drop him likely behind Why Not, I imagine. Yeah, there's Why Not. Why Not does not really have much speed at all, but now Why Not is cleared Lancer, and Lancer falls to the back of the grid in prototypes. No damage to the car. That is a lot of tire wear, though. Speaking of tire wear, let's look at the tire life of everyone in the prototypes right now. 33.9, 34 for Nizrama, for Steel. 34 33.8. So Steele about the same as Nizrama when it comes to tire life. For Muff, 34, and I think he's already making his first stop. Chungjan. I said Chungjan. He now moves up into third, 34.5. So it seems like all the prototype drivers are burning through their tires at roughly the same rate. 34.8, a little bit more on the right front for Why Not. Muff has gone ahead and made their stops. Custom Dips, real quickly, want to check their tire life. 35. So it seems like the faster drivers are burning up their rear tires more than their fronts. In the GT category, what do the tires look like? Well, Ducky, who is your leader in the BMW, 33% on that right rear. For Mamba, who is second in the Nissan, 30.5 on the right front. Mamba actually can probably stay out a lot longer. And then Larry, who is running third at the moment, 32 flat on the right front. They both have a lot more fuel than Ducky. I think Ducky might really go for an early stop this time, the exact opposite of what he did in Stint 1. And then LMP Veloce, just a real quick look at the car that won the first stint, 31.1 right now, but Veloce is under threat from Joe Nix right now in this fight for fourth position. And Chevrolet versus BMW fight is alive at the moment. And it looks like Steele has come into the pits. So Steele has pitted and Why Not has pitted as well. So they'll be the first of the Jags to pit. Muff has already made his first stop. Nizrama needs to remember that making 4 stops is the way to go. Making 3 stops is just going to get you a massive time penalty. That car is still massively over-fueled early on. I don't know why Nizrama is running with so much fuel early in the event. Unless he figures that it's better to be overloaded on fuel than underloaded. So where is Steele and Muff going to end up in relation to each other? Well, Steele is still ahead of Muff, and it's by a decent amount, so it looks like the top 3 are all going to start spreading out a bit. Ducky and Veloce making their stops in the GT category. So now I Am Mamba in the Nissan takes over the top spot. But for how long? That is the question. There's a decent gap on track between Mamba and Larry. Not one for Mamba to be comfortable with, but there is a respectable gap. Mamba can bleed out a little time if he needs to. That is Why Not last of the still running prototypes. No, that's mainly, I think, because Why Not has already made a stop, though. A little bit of a fight here farther back between EMC Vision and Zoroliak. And Zoroliak is not looking great, but this is still an improvement for him compared to where he was in the first stint. Zoroliak was unbearably off pace, buried at the very back of the field last stint, and was even behind another car who had made an extra pit stop compared to him. I Am Mamba pitting out of the lead. So now the question is going to be, where's Mamba going to end up in relation to Ducky? As Ducky pitted earlier, then Mamba. Joe Nix is also going to pit, so this puts TNR Larry B up at the head of the field now. Ducky currently trapped behind Rottweilers, the last of the GT cars that have yet to make their first stop. And that is Chungjan in second. Chungjan needs to figure out a way through on his own without hitting anybody, without hitting your wall. Boy, that got a lot closer than I think he wanted it to. So Mamba, Donix, and Zoroliak all making a stop. Ducky still cannot finish the overtake and has to fall back in line behind the Ferrari. Just bled off so much time in the process. Mamba coming out of pit lane. Where's Ducky going to be in relation? Finally, Ducky clears traffic, and now Ducky goes back in line ahead of Mambas by a good margin. In fact, Mambas is now going to be the one tucked up behind Rottweilers. And TNR Larry B leads right now. Custom Dips pitting out of the top 4 positions. So now only the top 3 in prototypes, Nozama, Chungjan, and Freelancer, all have yet to make their first stop. So when is Larry gonna pit? And when are our leaders gonna pit? No one pitted this lap, it seems. How Nizrama really needs to remember, 4 stops are required. Larry knows, we know Larry does. He came home second in the last stint, currently leads, but is going long on fuel and tires, it would appear. So Ducky still ahead of Mamba, and here's Nizrama, the leader in prototypes, right behind your leader in GT. Absolutely massive gap that Nizrama has pulled on Chungjan. Again, I'm really concerned if he's going to remember to actually make all 4 stops this time. Small amount of engine damage, but still absolutely blitzing the field right now. Still no pitting from Nizrama. Chungjan is in second. Freelance is a very, very distant third. And Steele, who is the highest running of all drivers who have pitted already, is about to catch Freelancer. There we are. Steele can see Freelancer ahead. Freelancer gets into the wall, trying to get around the I Am Mamba's machine. Freelancer still hasn't gotten the car sorted out. Here comes Steele now. Steele needs to be careful because Freelancer's car has been all over the place, been very, very twitchy, been sideways. He does not want to get caught in an accident with him. Steele right behind, literally nose to bumper with Freelance. They're coming up now on, I believe that is EMC Visions, and Nizrama finally pitting out of the lead. And I imagine Chungjan and Freelancer will be paying this lap as well. Oh, he is off into the dirt, and that will let Steele go right by. Freelance is just absolutely having a bad time of it altogether. So where is Steele going to end up in relation to Nizrama? Nizrama is already coming around turn 1, and Steele hasn't even gotten to the start-finish line. I think that gap between first and what's now going to be second is going to be even bigger now. Now there is Freelancer, I mean not Freelancer, Changjian, and Changjian will fall behind Steel, but is not that far behind. Thing is though, Changjian barely, just barely comes out ahead of Muff, and they're both behind Freelancer, who still hasn't made his stop. So this fight for third now is going to continue a bit longer. And it's going to be really frustrating, I imagine, for Muff, because Muff knows that they have to worry about Freelancer, who is in a very ill-handling car on very worn-out, burnt-out tires as well. There's all a bunch of prototypes right now on the Speedway Oval, all on top of each other. I believe that is Ducky that is being overtaken farther up. No, it's not Ducky. That is Vision, actually, in the Corvette, as Larry finally pits out of the top spot in GT. Muff has a big drive on Changjiang now. Big toe on him. Is this going to be enough? Tucked up behind. Does he make a lunge into turn one? He looks to the inside. He goes deep. Changjiang slides out. Muff goes back into fourth. And now it will be Muff who has to try and catch and deal with Lancer. Lancer has been absolutely evil, sliding sideways. I mean, he himself hasn't been, but his car has been evil thus far. Everyone now, except for Freelance and the prototypes and Rottweilers and the GTs, have made their first stop of the day. Muff tucked up now behind Freelance. Freelancer leaves the door open for Muff. Muff takes it. Muff gets to the inside. It's a drag race now for third. But it's pretty obvious that Muff has the advantage. Freelance just does not have a car that can handle, although he gets a draft, and now he looks to the inside. Freelance fighting back. He'll have the inside line as they come into the infield, into the bus stop chicane, side by side. Muff drops tires in the dirt. Here comes Changjiang. And Freelancer gets it back, and now Changjiang follows the Nissan through. I mean, the Jaguar through. And Muff falls back to fifth. And now Changjiang goes to the inside of Lancer. Changjiang super strong in the oval sections. Freelance all sorts of struggling. Oh, and gets hit by Muff. Changjiang goes wide, but there's nothing that Muff can do because Freelance is right there causing them problems and finally disposes of the Jaguar. With that, although still Rottweilers and Freelance have yet to make their stop, we pretty much have a great idea as to where everyone has cycled out after the first round of stops. Your leader is Niz Rama in the Jag, trying to redeem himself after what is bound to be a big penalty from Stint 1 after he failed to make the required number of stops. We are going to ride on board with a flying lap on board with Niz Rama, so you get an idea what a flying lap is with our current fastest prototype driver here at Daytona. right? And that was a flying lap on board with your current prototype stint leader, Nizrama. It was absolutely flying. Meanwhile, Steele runs in second position. His car came home second in stint 1 and second in stint 2 right now, but there is a threat from behind. Xiongjan. And the number 69 machine seems to have figured out how to make this thing work a little bit better. He has pulled away from CBL Muff and might slowly be closing in on Steele. Reminder, Xiongjan went much longer on the first stint than Steele did, so Steele will be dealing with tire fall off a little bit quicker and a little bit earlier than Xiongjan will be. But 69 really struggles to navigate traffic, while Steele has not had any trouble with traffic navigation at all today. As you can see, just getting around Rottweilers in the Ferrari is enough to drag Muff into the general area that Xiongjan is at. But it looks like the rest of the prototypes have all kind of filtered into where they're supposed to be. But PTG Ducky, in the first stint, went long on the first round of tires and lost a huge chunk of time in the process. This time, though, he pitted early and has maintained his lead. The thing is, though, Larry B and I Am Mamba are having a legitimate fight for second in GT, and while they are fighting, they are both still closing in on PTG Ducky. So we could be looking at a very interesting, potentially, three-way fight for the GT category lead here by the time we get to the halfway stage of this event. That car right ahead of Larry on track is your GT race leader, and Larry is second in the GT category right now. Larry came home second in stint 1. I'm sure he would love to follow that up with a win in stint 2. And it does seem like Larry is pulling away from Mamba slowly but surely. Veloce and Joan Nix seem to be having a bit of a fight for 4th and 5th right now. For the moment, the BMW has the advantage, but Veloce wants to get it back. That is your prototype category leader, Nizrama, going around the outside. Veloce has a run. Does he commit to it? Does he make the move? He looks high. Looks like he's going to commit to going high, I think. Around the outside, Veloce cannot. He keeps it there. Couldn't make this pass, but he does the crossover on exit. Makes a little bit of contact, but he did the crossover, and now he's through. Great move by Veloce. Faked going to the outside, and then crossed over when it looked like Joe Nix thought he had it for good. Smart move by Veloce. Steele pits out of the second position, and Muff is gotten by Xiongjan. Xiongjan got caught up behind Zverliak, and now Xiongjan has fallen to third. Steele has made his stop, and now the Porsche of Muff goes up into second. So the number 69, nice Jaguar prototype, falls to third once again. So we could have a very prolonged fight for third position overall between Muff and Xiongjan with the way this is going. Steele makes his second stop very early in the stint. Again, Xiongjan seems to have figured out the car a bit. I think he is faster than Muff, but Xiongjan is absolutely atrocious at dealing with traffic, while Muff does not struggle nearly as much while navigating traffic, it seems. That's the prototype of Muff diving into the pits. So Xiongjan stays out a little longer. 3 wide. Commits to the inside. Will finally add some GT traffic that he did not have to worry about as Joe Nix and LMP Veloce continue their fight, and Nix is back ahead. But while that's gone on, the fight for the GT category lead is heating up. Larry is closer to Ducky now than he has been for a while. Larry made a gigantic move on the outside of Ducky back in Stint 1 that got him position. Will he be able to replicate that move? Can he even get by this time? Reminder, Ducky made the early pit stop this time around compared to the late stop, and doing the late stop prior denied him the run at the lead that he had for so long. Now he's made the early stop, but it does legitimately seem that Larry is faster than Ducky at this stage of the event. And Mamba is in 10th, and if these two spend too much time fighting, Mamba will be right in the fray for the fight for this lead in the GT category. Muff navigates his way by Why Not. What has happened to Why Not? Has he just been slow? No, it looks like after Muff has made his stop, this is where legitimately they are. So Why Not is basically an entire pit stop behind Muff at this stage of the race, it would appear. Not been a great time for the Apex crew. Not any incidents, they've just been slow. Right out the back of PTG Ducky's car, you can see both Larry and Mamba in the background. That is second place in Prototype's Changdong coming up. Again, GT cars are not required to get out of the way of Prototypes. They can hold their line. Prototypes have to figure out their way around. And if they're not, if the GT car is going to actually move about, that's fine as long as they move out of the way in a understandable manner. None of this weaving 3-4 times across the track to try and figure out how to let the prototypes by. That's not allowed. Larry is coming. LMP Porsche is the first of the GT category to make their first stop. And now PTG Ducky coming into the pits. He pitted early in Stint 1. What of Stint 2? He'll be pit. Yeah, so Larry is going to be paying a little later this time as well. See very quickly here, you can see the GT cars diving into the first hairpin. There's second place in Prototypes, Changdong going by. Why Not's going to go ahead and make his stop. Also, Zororliak in the Porsche GT entry is making their stop as well. And there goes Larry, 1001, 1002, 1003. And it looks like Freelancer is about 3 seconds. Mamba is about 3 seconds behind Larry at this stage of the event. Rama needs to remember to make 3 more stops before this is over. Tires is still good. He runs a very heavy fuel load. I have to wonder if maybe he's doing that because he feels more comfortable with the car with the heavy fuel load in the rear. We're going to knock out a ad break here in the middle of these stops, and hopefully nothing crazy or bizarre happens while we're away. Well, seems like pretty obvious that Ducky's gotten by Mamba, or maintains position over Mamba. Question is going to be Larry, because Larry is doing the strategy now that Ducky did last time. Well, welcome back to Daytona. While we're away, Mamba has made his pit stop, his second pit stop, and in the end, Ducky is still ahead of Mamba. And it's by a gap that has gradually been growing bigger, so it seems like Mamba is falling out of the contention for the fight in the GT category lead. Joe Nix and EMC Vision are currently fighting for second, but these two drivers still have yet to make their second stop of the stint. TNR Larry B is leading in GT. However, we have not yet seen Larry make his second stop either. Meanwhile, in the prototype category, and here we are, EMC Vision is finally going to make their stop. In the prototype category, I'm not sure what's happened, but Steele was a good way ahead of Changdon and Muff. Somehow has ended up well behind Muff. Now he has the chance to still run him back down, but for the moment, it is a very, very tight three-way fight we're looking at between Changdon, Muff, and Steele for third and prototype. Changdon still has yet to make his second stop of the day, as that is Muff going around your current GT leader, Larry B. Rama, your current leader, also has yet to make his second stop. Ooh, that was just an outright cut by Steele. Oh, there's all sorts of sideways. When will the prototype leaders pit? And when will our leaders in GT pit? That is the question. Also, normally I don't pay too much attention with that, but I will go ahead. Someone called Dan Yoke Racing went ahead and said that if Nizrama doesn't make his fourth stop, he's going to put him in a torture chamber, force him to play the outdated version of Forza Motorsport for a long time. So I found that kind of funny to read. Okay, Larry B has made his stop. Where is he going to end up in relation to Ducky? Prototype's blitzed by Ducky here. And Joan Nix is also going to pit as well. So keep an eye on Joan Nix and EMC Vision, as those two have been fighting for position with each other most of the day. Larry B already out of turn one. Ducky needs to put this outlap together nice and clear. You can see Larry coming out of the pits ahead. Larry's out of the pits, and no, Ducky is still behind. Ducky is falling behind. So it's taken 2 pit stop cycles, and Larry didn't actually make the overtake on track. He just made the overtake by just putting out better laps. So Larry finally overtakes Ducky. Larry's not that far ahead, though. Ducky is there. Ducky is got the draft. We could have a legitimate fight for the GT positions. Still waiting on our top 2 prototype drivers to pit. Freelancer, who's been, well, not irrelevant. He's definitely got some camera time, but has been really messy and having a lot of struggles all day today. Larry moving around, just trying to get a little bit of a draft off of that prototype ahead. Trying to keep him ahead of Ducky. That's second place. Shangjian about to overtake this duo here. Well, Shangjian denies the inside to Ducky. That's not going to help Ducky very much. But still, Ducky is close to Larry. Thing is, as these stints go on, Larry seems to get faster and faster. Larry seems to be the slowest when he's on brand new tires on a full fuel tank, and they seem to gradually speed up, while Ducky seems to gradually lose speed as the fuel load burns off and as the tires wear away. Freelancer has gotten by Why Not somehow. Has Why Not had something happen? I don't see any damage to the car, but Freelancer has absolutely blitzed away from Why Not, so I have to wonder if maybe Why Not's had a big spin or something going through the bus stop chicane to cause him to lose so much time. All right, Shangjian in second finally pits. Nizrama at the lead has yet to make his second stop. Is Nizrama going to repeat his mistake from stint 1 and not make the required 4 stops? Oh, Larry got by Duck. I'm sorry for looking away. I'm sorry. Larry's gotten by Ducky. I apologize for that. Well, no. Larry didn't get by Ducky. Larry's already by Ducky. Never mind. I don't apologize for that. I didn't do anything wrong. Right on board with Ducky as he tries to run down the Chevrolet ahead. Muff coming out, and he's by Shangjian, and the Porsche goes back into second again. Camera, what are you doing? Camera! No, and that's Shangjian! Shangjian, our third different prototype driver, has lagged out now. And now there are only 6 prototypes left. And the fight between Muff and Steele now becomes a fight for second and third on the podium. Could end up being a fight for the stint win if Nizrama forgets to make 4 pit stops again. Well, the Porsche that Muff is in is absolutely performing today, but that's mostly off the back of one absolutely faster driver and one equivalent speed driver, Orton and Shangjian respectively, both dropping out. But Porsche might finally have a good time in the sun here after a really bad first stint here in the C lobby. I don't understand what Nizrama's strategy is. He still has yet to make his second stop. Is he going to quick stop and do 2 stops back to back at the very end of the stint? Wouldn't be the weirdest thing I've seen. Rottweilers, who is last in GT, also has yet to make his second stop. Oh, no! No! Oh my goodness, Steele! Did he hit the wall? Well, if he hit the wall, he didn't take any damage, but has lost a lot of time. Muff had a really bad run into the bus stop chicane, knocked Steele off circuit. Muff now pits early for his third stop, so Steele will now be in relatively clean air. Well, we know that Muff is going to make it. Nizrama finally makes his stop. Put in perspective, Steele just ran right into the back of Mamba. And he's turned Mamba! Well, Mamba keeps the car roughly straight, but, pretty obvious to me, at least, that Steele has kind of let everything shake him up. I'm really not that surprised. Nizrama obviously holds a fantastically large lead over second place. Only the top 4 prototypes are still in the lead lap, but again, Nizrama still has to make 2 more stops, and I'm not sure what his strategy is, but at the rate he's going, he is not poised to make 4 stops total. That fight for 7th has really just become a prolonged stalking battle as Ducky continues to run right behind Larry. He keeps closing and closing, but is not close enough to actually make moves. Jesus, riding on board, the squeals of the tires are louder than the engine in Ducky's BMW. It is ridiculous. Larry faster in a straight line, but not by much. These cars are both very even when it comes to overall laps. Oh, that's a really bad run out. Oh, that is a horrible run out. And that's going to massively swing the dial in favor of Larry. Again, Ducky, this stint has been paint earlier than Larry, and I have to wonder if maybe pushing the tires earlier and longer is causing him to lose touch. Ducky is faster earlier in the tire run, but Larry is faster later in the tire runs. Ducky's Beamer just seems to be sliding in all of these slower speed corners. Oh no! Apex Why Not has just dropped out now. And then there are only 5 prototypes left. Rottweiler is finally making his stop. Prototypes absolutely hemorrhaging cars today. Reliability, it feels like it's a 1980s endurance race with how bad the reliability has struck the prototype category. So now Freelancer, despite being honestly probably the worst performing car on track in the prototype category, is guaranteed a top 5. All right. Coming into the party right now is Apex Why Not? Why not go ahead, include your audio? Seemed like it was a rough day that ends early. What happened that took you out?
I got disconnected from Forza, so that was fun. And I made the dumb mistake of trying to avoid someone and hit the pause button like an idiot. So, yeah. Not a very fun time. I also spun twice, but yeah.
Okay, is that why Freelance got by you earlier coming out of the bus stop, because you were in pause mode?
No. I was in pause to avoid a car going into turn 1. I spun after the bus stop when Freelance passed me.
God, all right, gotcha. Because we saw you slow, but we didn't see anything else, so I didn't know if you had pulled over or had a spin or something. All right, shame to see that happen. It seems like the Apex prototype effort has really been slammed with a lot of bad luck thus far. I will ask, though, who's going to be taking over the car for Stint 3?
I believe that is going to be Fuego, so maybe, hopefully he has a better chance of driving the car than me and Kimmy.
All right, well, shame to see you drop out like this, but thanks for jumping in and talking with us. I do want to ask one more question before you leave. You're one of the drivers who are riding around in the Jaguar prototypes. What seems to be the bigger impact? Is it tires falling off or fuel load burning off? Are you going faster near the end of the stint because the fuel load's burning off, or are you faster early on the stint because you're on fresh tires?
I mean, during testing, when I was testing out the cars, it seemed like, or testing out the Jag, was that I was faster when the fuel was in the car, like max fuel. But I'm trying a new strategy, which, by my calculations, I think it's 16 minutes, 16.6 minutes you would need to pit, but you could probably lengthen the tires so you only have to stop for 2 times for tires, maybe. And for fuel, you'll have to fuel every stop, but that's like 2.5 seconds instead of the 3.6 seconds that it gives you. So yeah.
All right. That seems interesting. So you're not doing full service all the time, and you're actually you're double stinting the tires then. That's an interesting strategy. I've not noticed anyone else doing that, but that is definitely an interesting strategy. I'm curious to see how it would have played out over a full run.
I mean, that's, of course, that the tires will last 30 minutes, which I think, was it like 50%? It hits 30 minutes, so if you do an extra lap, maybe 52, maybe 53%, maybe. So
Alright. Well, either way, why not? Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. I've not been able to talk to you in general for it feels like a year, and it is nice to hear you again. It's just kind of wish I would have been talking to you at the end of a stint, congratulating you, not in the middle of a stint, asking about this. But thanks for jumping in and talking anyway.
no problem.
Alright, well that is Apex Why Not, your 4th different prototype dropout in the session, as the fight for was overall 2nd in prototypes. 3rd right now, but should be 2nd overall once Custom Diffs makes his stop continues, as Muff and Steel continue to face off. Muff holds station over Steel right now. Also, Ducky making their 3rd stop earlier than Larry once again. So Ducky coming to the earlier pit stops. Larry going to stay out a little longer as he seems to be better as the fuel load burns off in the machine. We're going to knock out a ad break here before our other leaders start making stops. Oh! Oh! They're still alive, somehow. Well, welcome back to Daytona as we continue to watch this incredible fight going on for what is currently third but realistically second for overall position in the prototype category. Also, Iron Mamba has gone ahead and made their stop, so we'll be interested to see where they come out in relation to PTG Ducky. Although I think Ducky will have their number pretty smoothly here. Yeah, it looks like Ducky's already cleared Mamba without any issue whatsoever, so that won't matter. Custom Dips finally making their third stop of the day, so this will now properly become the fight for second. And while you were away, Steele had a gigantic run on Muff coming out of the bus stop and pulled out on the outside coming out of 4. They were side by side going into turn 1. Both cars went deep into turn 1 and they slid, and Larry dropped out! Your leader in the GT category, Larry, has just dropped out of the event! Out of the lead! When he had a gigantic advantage over the rest of the field! And all of a sudden, Ducky and the GT BMW is back to being the potential stint winner, as he seems to be way faster than everyone else in the category. But Larry drops out now, just a little bit past the, well, about the 2/3 way mark. So reliability, the biggest issue, and now it finally begins to strike in the GT category. And PTG Ducky could not be happier. Reminder, PTG Ducky dropped out in the first stint though. So this will kind of help balance the books a little bit. Meanwhile, in this fight for second overall, Steele goes deep. Good Lord, does he go deep! As he overtakes traffic, has all sorts of sideways coming out of the bus stop chicane, but still right there. However, Muff had a smoother run out of the bus stop and should be able to open the gap a bit. But my goodness, Steele absolutely lunged it to get by traffic there. And Nizrama at the front still needs to make 2 more stops. Is he going to remember to do that? Because right now, with the way this is going, if Nizrama forgets to make another stop, oh, and Steele misses turn 1 completely, just completely throws it away. I legitimately feel that Steele is a faster driver, but when he's under pressure and he needs to get by traffic or he needs to catch somebody ahead, he keeps going over the limit. And that seems to be his big issue. Now, right now, it looks like Rottweilers is almost guaranteed to make all 4 of his stops with Nizrama. Is Nizrama going to remember to make the 4 required stops? We know that while they were classified 3rd at the end of Stint 1, they're going to have a massive time penalty, if not an outright disqualification coming for them there. What's it going to be here? Is Nizrama going to remember? Because Nizrama has such a gigantic gap, about half of a lap over this fight for seconds right now. But forgetting to make the extra stop again could give them a big enough time penalty that they might lose this stint victory as well. Again, once Steele is a little bit by himself, he seems to pick up the pace and is able to run down Muff, but catching and passing are 2 completely different things. 4th place, AMS Custom Dips has now gone a lap down to Nizrama. Obviously, Freelancer has gone a lap down a long time ago. PTG Ducky holds a big lead over Mamba, who also holds a significant gap between himself and 3rd place Veloce. Joe Nix and EMC Vision also are continuing their little fight for what is 4th in the GT category. And then Zoriliak is 11th, 6th in GT. Porsche is 12th, which is 7th in GT, and Rottweilers is 13th, 8th in GT. And that's the leader in GT that we see this duo going by now. Oh, he's got to run! Steele has a run on Muff this time. A big run. Is this going to be enough? Looking at the outside. Neck and neck for second again. He tried making this move earlier and both of them slid out. Can either of them keep their car straight as they dive side by side to turn one again? They didn't touch. They get close to touching, but in the end, Muff had the inside line, put the power down a little smoother, and is ahead once more. But the fight for second at Prototypes is very much alive. And this could end up being the fight for the win, depending on Nizrama. Nizrama finally makes his third stop, but will he remember to make a fourth stop? This will also briefly put AMS Custom Dips back on the lead lap. Steele's got to the inside of Muff in the infield, in the second infield hairpin, and Steele is by. Muff gets right up behind and shoots out wide. All right, Muff is in a position. He can get the draft off of Steele on the run down to the bus stop chicane. But he's not close enough to make a move. Steele really aggressive, throwing the car completely sideways almost. Well, not really completely sideways. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but throwing the car into the bus stop. He is really pushing, trying to get away from CBL Muff. Steele runs just a little bit ahead of Muff at the moment. But Muff is closing in the infield section. This is the corner where Muff lost to the position of Steele last lap. Not close enough to try and redeem himself there, but still. Fight for a second. And again, I don't know if Nizrama is going to remember and make his fourth stop. If he does not, then this could end up becoming the fight for the stint victory. I mean, Nizrama should be fine. He should still have he still has about 13 minutes to make his final stop, but you are required to make that your final stop before that race timer says 30 minutes. Steele deep into the dirt that time. But Muff is not in a position to capitalize. He backed out and was trying to be a little bit more reserved going through the bus stop that time. Steele is sliding those tires, being very aggressive, trying to stay ahead. He has a little bit of engine damage. He's at 27.4% on that right rear. Muff, on the other hoof, is at 35.8% on that right rear. So Muff's likely going to be pitting a lap or two earlier than Steele. Being the first driver to knock out his final stop. We're going to go ahead and take what should be our last in-race ad break here. And then when we come back, we'll take you to the finish of Stint 2 here in the C lobby for TORA's 24 Hours of Daytona. John Nix and EMC Vision continue their long drawn-out fight for what is fourth in the GT category. These two have been on top of each other for pretty much the entire time. Also, second and third place, Steele and Muff, have made their final what should be their final stops of the day. Steele had opened up a bit of a gap on Muff before they made that pit. Now the question is Nizrama. Will he remember to make this final stop? He has 9 minutes and 22 seconds left to do it. He's got a gigantic gap over the rest of the field. He doesn't have to worry about losing the lead when he pits. But he needs to remember to do it. Also, Freelancer and AMS Custom Dips also have yet to make their final stops, but they've been a lot more reliable. I feel they're almost guaranteed to make their final stops. Joe Nix continues to run the draft of EMC Vision in this fight for 9th. Ducky, in the other BMW GT machine, leads. Larry had gotten by him. Larry had just outrun him on pace, but had dropped out of the event. So Ducky, who dominated the early parts of Stint 1, but then lost the lead and then lagged out, seems like he's turning it around here in Stint 2. He's had a little bit of luck, but he's turning it around in Stint 2, and unless he drops out again, he'll be paying. And it looks like John Nix is going to be trying to pit this time. Not the greatest run into the pits. Meanwhile, we look at our fight for second in prototypes once again, and Steele has opened up the gap. It seems like here in this final run to the end, Steele has pretty much put the hammer down and has finally pulled away from Muff. Still, Porsche, unless something bad happens, looks like they will get at least one podium result. But this has been the only competitive Porsche in the 2 stints we've watched thus far, as Haikonian and the other Porsche has not been able to keep any pace whatsoever, and he's also not been able to finish the earlier 2 stints. Muff out here trying to put together at least some sort of run in the Porsche. And Nizrama has remembered to make his final stop. So yes, as long as Nizrama doesn't have a self-inflicted big accident, he will win this stint. So good on him. With 17 and a half minutes left to go. So Steele, it's not a win, but it looks like back-to-back second place finishes in these stints. And I think of all the prototypes in the C lobby, this should be enough to put this number 21 Velocity car at the top. Now, I'm not going to compare it to what's going on in the A, B, or D lobby, but should be at top here for the C lobby category. Seems like at this point, most of the battles on track have pretty much solidified. Now, Steele has made some mistakes before, and that's one of the main reasons we're watching him. Steele has not been a nice, clean driver throughout the day, and while he is gradually pulling on Muff, all it takes for him to have a bad run trying to deal with traffic in a infield section, and boom, Muff could catch him. Still waiting on our top 4 in GT to make their final stops as well, with only about 5.5 minutes left. And PTG Ducky, who started on the pole, led a good chunk early on, but lost the lead to Larry B, got it back once Larry dropped out. Smooth sailing, will likely be paying either at the end of this lap or next lap. overall, this has been a little bit calmer of a stint when it comes to big highlight things to talk about, but we have had a lot better racing, I feel, in this stint 2 than we have in stint 1, as we see prototype leader in Nizrama about to overtake the GT leader in Ducky. So Ducky's not pitted this time. He'll probably pit at the end of this lap, though, I imagine. Let me check what his fuel and tires are looking like. Yeah, you might as well pit at the end of this lap. You only got about a little less than 4 minutes, so you might as well pit now. Rottweiler is making a stop, as does LMP Veloce. I'm slightly interested to see where the Vision versus John Neeks fight turns out. Custom Ziff still has yet to make his final stop, and we're in the last 3.5 minutes, so Dip's better stop coming to the line this next time by. It looks like it's near perfectly clear track ahead for second place in GTs. They'll likely catch Mamba before this is over, and maybe Ducky, but other than that, I think they'll be good to the end. So, yeah, as long as Steel doesn't have a big self-inflicted incident, that fight for second in prototypes will go in Steel's favor. Freelance coming out of the pits, and despite just being absolutely atrocious today, having spins, slides, just trouble keeping the car straight, he's made it to the end of the stint, and that's what matters. Okay, Ducky finally making his final stop, and he'll be joined by Mamba. Those two drivers almost guaranteed to come home in first and second positions. EMC Vision, I imagine, is also going to go ahead and make his final stop this time as well. He's right now, he's tucked up behind Veloce, getting a nice big toe, but I would like to have to pit. All right, and there we are. Custom Diffs finally made his stop as well. So everyone has made or is making their final stop except for Vision. We anticipate Vision will make his final stop coming to the line this time by. Yep, here he is. He's coming in now. So let's see where John Nix and EMC Vision end up relative to each other. Nix made his stop way, way earlier than Vision did. Sliding just a little bit out of the bus stop. That's Nizrama. You're a prototype leader and basically guaranteed to be winner in this second stint. Redemption after his first stint mess-ups. All right, you see EMC Vision about to enter turn 1 in the pit lane. John Nix crosses the start-finish line. I think Nix is going to have him coming out of pit lane. Yeah, he's going to have him. And he's overtaking him now. And boy, Nix with a big gap between himself and Vision. Great job by Nix. The undercut is absolutely the stronger way to go, it seems, for most, if not all, of the GT category cars and drivers. So, Steele about to come up on Porsche and Zroiliak. I don't think he's going to catch Vision or Nix before the end of this. But back-to-back seconds for the number 21 should bring it together. And mind you, Steele has not had it clean. He has gotten really aggressive down and dirty with Muff, and at one point Muff wasn't intentionally. Obviously, Muff knocked him off track going through the bus stop chicane. Steele bled off a huge chunk of time, but he clawed it back. I do still think that there may be a bit of a performance imbalance. I don't think it's massive, but I do think there may be a performance imbalance between the Porsches and the Jaguars. But we may be getting bad data just because the Jaguars are so massively overrepresented, and the Porsches have really only had one driver, well, it's going to be two drivers, one car, make it to the end of these stints thus far. So I may be saying that, but I wouldn't put money on it. It could be just that we're not getting good representation from the Porsche prototypes right now. Same thing with the GT cars. Zwerliak had a really, really awful stint one. He said that he threw the kitchen sink at it pretty much, completely changed a whole lot of setups. Zwerliak is going to finish higher here in stint 2. So some things have definitely turned around for Zwerliak's GT Porsche, but still he's nowhere near the front, which is where I honestly anticipated we would see him. About 8.5 minutes left. Steele clears Zwerliak without too much issue. And while Muff has closed a small amount, he needs Steele to have a big mess up if he wants to run this Jag down. And I just don't see that happening. Not really talking about custom dips much at all today, but he has kept it quiet and clean, and he survived. And a 4th place finish looks like it's in the cards for custom dips. All the fights on track are pretty much over and resolved now. Also, 4th looks like he's going to be finishing on the lead lap, just due to the gap right now between himself and Nizrama, so good job on him for that as well. Zwerliak making a 5th pit stop. Had he damaged the car? Well, I mean, that's not going to help. He's going to end up 2nd to last, which is, it's still 1 spot better than where it was last time, but I wonder if Zwerliak has damaged the car or something. It has not been a good time for Porsche at all in the GT or the prototype categories here. Now, thankfully, he still has, well, in Zwerliak's mind at least, he still has about a 1/3 of a lap over Rottweiler's, but still. Clean track ahead for Steele and Muff, so yes, those positions for 2nd and 3rd are basically resolved for good. Bit of a fight going on there, not one I really was thinking we would see. It's not a true fight because Rottweiler's is a lot down compared to Veloce. And there's your leaders in both categories going by. Well, as we run the clock down, all the battles seem to have been solved, and Veloce, who's in 3rd, is making a stop. What is going on there? Was there damage? No damage, but he does not have the fuel to make it. So Veloce has to pit, and he had a top 3 pretty much guaranteed, and now he's likely going to lose that to Nix and maybe even Vision. He makes it as short of a stop as possible, but that's not going to help him one bit in this run. It's also not going to help with his overall distance. He might still stay ahead of John Nix and Vision, though. The two of them have not yet come to the start-finish line. But Veloce, having to make this extra stop is going to kill his team's result here. I think it's going to be close. He might still be able to pull off a third. I don't know. He's going to have to catch John Nix and Vision and have to blitz them immediately. Nix is through. Nix moves up into third now. And Vision closes up behind Veloce. Suddenly, in the last 4 minutes, a fight develops for fourth. And it is between two different Chevrolets. Vision's been in the rhythm, and now he has a chance to maybe steal an extra spot. Veloce, how did you make this kind of mistake? I mean, he's not the only one. Zeroliak also made an extra stop. Vision tucked up behind Veloce. Does he have what it takes to make a move somewhere? These cars are the same cars. They're built the same, but the setups are different. The drivers may be different. Veloce cuts the inside a little bit aggressively, kills his mid-corner speed. Vision is tucked right up behind Veloce. Less than 3.5 minutes in this fight for what is now fourth. And Veloce, this car won. I think it was this car. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was this car that won Stint 1, but it looks like they're not even going to get a top 3 in Stint 2. Oh, Veloce slides into the dirt just a bit. And Vision's got to run. Tucks up behind. Now he looks high. He falls back in line behind. He's got to make a move going into the bus stop. Not the bus stop. Got to make a move going into turn 1. You're only going to have about one more full lap to do this. Vision outside. Veloce inside. Veloce has his nose a little bit ahead. He dives in. Vision slides out. Tries to cross over. Does not have the stability in the car to make that happen. But Veloce is sideways coming out of turn 1. Into the first infield hairpin. And accelerating out. Veloce is closing on John Nix. And now Vision got to the inside of Veloce on the exit of the hairpin, but Veloce had the better run out. Didn't have as much trouble putting the power down. Veloce holds station right now in fourth. Vision runs right behind. Zeroliak now making a 6th pit stop. It's gone from bad to worse for Zeroliak. I think he'll finish ahead of Rottweilers, but just barely. Whatever has happened to Zeroliak has been catastrophic in these closing laps. 75 seconds left. Prototype goes shooting around the outside. That's custom dips. Again, Vision right behind Veloce. Veloce gets a small toe from custom dips, so it's not going to be enough to do anything. Fight for fourth is alive. Vision comes to the outside of Veloce. Neck and neck as they come to the line. It looks like Veloce is a little worse off than Vision this time. But Veloce has the inside line, which is the preferred line of choice. Vision backs off early. Veloce holds station. Veloce is sideways again, but keeps the car together. With less than 40 seconds left, I think this is going to go in Veloce's favor, but still, it should have been a third, and now he's just trying to not fall to fifth. $15 seconds left. It's going to be a drag race for this duo into the turn 1 entrance. 5 seconds. 4, 3. Vision lost the corner, so Veloce will get it as time's up. Well, and that's that. Interesting little fight to the end. But your victor is Nizrama, taking home his first stint win. Hopefully, I imagine, making up a bit for the absolute catastrophe that was Stint 1. Then followed up behind him, Steele. Back-to-back second-place finishes for the number 21 Velocity Endurance Racing prototype. Third place, I said third place game, will be CBL Muff, who honestly had a shot for maybe second, but just couldn't keep up the pace in the closing 20 minutes of the stint. Fourth place will be AMS Custom Dips, a quiet but clean fourth place finish, and Freelancer, despite having a very, very dirty and noisy stint in comparison, will finish at least, which is better than what a lot of other prototype entrants can say. Your winner in GT will be PTG Ducky in the 458 machine, making up for not being able to finish Stint 1. I Am Mamba will bring that Nissan home to second. Then third, Joe Nix, who I don't think he ever was considering a top 3 finish, but ended up stealing a top 3 result. After this man, LMP Veloce, who seemed certain to get a third, had to make an extra stop late after not putting enough fuel in earlier. He'll have to come home a distant fourth. EMC Vision will be fifth. LMP Porsche will be the other Nissan entry, and they will come home in sixth position. Seventh will go Zeruriak, as everything went wrong for him in the final 15 minutes of this stint. And then last place will be the Ferrari entry of Rottweilers. So it seems like Porsches and Ferraris just have no luck today. But with that in mind, we will go ahead and go to break. And when we come back, hopefully we'll see them finish gathering distances, and maybe we'll be able to get an interview with our stint winners. Alright, so right now we're standing by, waiting for the TORA officials to finish gathering distances. Once we see Nizrama fire up the car and drive down to the next mile marker, we will know that we'll be doing that. And the big thing for Nizrama, he's going to have to go a long way, because based off of where the finisher had the leader finished at the end of the last stint, Nizrama is just barely ahead of the most recent mile marker. So yeah, he'll have to move quite a way once he finally starts to move. Stint 2, overall spoken and written highlights, not as complex as Stint 1's, but the on-track action Stint 2 has been much, much more impressive to watch. This has honestly been a fantastic stint to follow here. The only sad thing is we're currently running about 25 minutes behind schedule in the C lobby right now. Alright, there we are. Now we're seeing these Rama moving. Bit of an overshoot. It happens, though. Don't worry too much about it. I don't know who that guy is that's moving. As Custom Dips apparently is moving for some reason. Don't know what's going on there. Oh, Muff left already. Okay. Huh. We're going to reach out real quickly to our winners in both categories, see if they want to say anything as we before we wrap up this broadcast here. We will be here to cover Stint 3 as well, along with Stint 4 and Stint 5. Try shooting out invites one more time. All right, and if they don't join in like the next minute or so, I will just go ahead and close the stream and start getting ready for the next stint here. Alright, well, I'm not seeing any indication that our stint winners are going to go ahead and jump into the Xbox party. So with that in mind, I've been your host, InsaneLeader13. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to refresh the page in a few minutes when we prepare to load up to start the third stint here for the C Lobby. Until then, farewell and goodbye.